Herrera, and we are in the project of reading the second book in English and Spanish this time, Building Your Warehouse of Wealth by Nelson Nash. And I've read Becoming Your Own Banker last year in Spanish because the Spanish market has had less information about this fantastic process. So that's why I did that. And I figured that a lot of people are already getting enough information about infinite banking in English. Some of the information that they are getting is not the proper one, but at least they are getting some. But in Spanish, it's not that way. So that's why I decided to help the Spanish population with this information. And last Monday, we read the first part of chapter one. Is it's long, so I decided to split it in two, so the video will not be too long. So let's get on it. The first part that I read, we talk about some of the investments that the insurance companies made in real estate because uh, the insurance company normally put the money to work in three sectors, being sector one, loans to policy owners, that's the priority. Then sector two is like mortgages, uh, things that are not that problematic. And then the third one is joint ventures. Those can have a little more risk. So that's why insurance companies do it that way. Insurance companies are risk averse. They are more focused on stability than on return. So they are looking for a decent return, small return, but stability. So let's continue where we left last time that we were. I'm going to reread this part. I have seen certain strip malls and other such ventures that did not last that long. You can find such examples all over the country. Investments that have lesser risk are business and residential mortgages. This type of activity ranks number two in the diagram. These are conventional mortgages, 20% down, conservative loans, not subprime stuff. Every month the borrower makes a payment, the strength of the lender is increased, the borrower owes less and less, and the lender has a mortgage on the entire amount. This activity doesn't require the high cost home office expertise. So, with the high cost of overhead and the high risk involved with number three in the diagram, and the lower cost overhead and lower risk in number two, I don't see a great deal of difference in the results back to the company. Why do they bother with number three stuff? Frankly, there is the possibility of a higher yield, otherwise, they wouldn't do it. Now, please turn your attention to number one in the diagram, the policy owners. So then again, here is Number one is loans to policy owners. The insurance company will lend money to them up to the amount of equity each person has in the policy. The cash value at any particular time, that's the equity. That is 100% of whatever can be lent from that owner's policy values. The owner is using the cash value as collateral to obtain a loan from the insurance company, which now holds a lien against any potential death benefit check it has to pay the owner. There is some, though rather small, risk in the other investments the insurance company makes. The loans to policyholders, however, are totally secure. Thus, it is obvious that the owner outranks every other possible borrower in access to money, cash values in the policy, that the insurance company must put to work in order to be able to pay the promised death benefit. What's more, the insurance company cannot lend out money that doesn't exist the way a local commercial bank does. Hence, they cannot inflate the money supply. Since it is true that a policy owner can borrow up to 100% of whatever can be lent to his policy at any point in time, or, so of whatever can be lent from his policy at any point in time, then this means that the owner has absolute and total control over the lending function of the insurance company as it relates to the equity in his policy. In essence, the owner is saying to the company, I don't have a use for the money right now, so put it to work with your other possible customers. Notice that this means the values in his policy are always at work at any one time. Contrast this with the situation of the gold in the warehouse of the goldsmiths years ago. The gold was just sitting there earning nothing. When a policyholder requests a policy loan, the life insurance company has to actually get that money from somewhere, either from incoming either from incoming premium payments or by selling off other assets. The life insurance company can simply create a new loan out of thin air. Remember the temptation of the warehouse owners to print up bogus receipts, thus inflating the money supply. The life insurance company cannot inflate. What about this idea of making loans? Many people hear the word loan and immediately their brain goes into deep freeze. A loan equals something bad. It it attributes that it is attributes that you finance everything that you buy. You either borrow from some other source and pay interest, or you use your own money and give up the opportunity to earn interest. There are no exceptions. It is known as the concept of lost opportunity cost. We learned that principle back in 1949 in forestry school. The professor told us, you are going to be teaching clients how to grow trees. That means he's going to spend money today to get those seedlings in the ground and he won't get anything back for 25 years. That money spent was borrowed money, I'll reply, "Oh no, professor, that money was from my client's checking account. It had no cost." The professor replied, "Your client could have been earning interest somewhere else instead. You must remember loss opportunity cost. Otherwise, you are deceiving yourself and your client. Fooling either party is not a good idea. Don't ever forget that." It is amazing how smart businessmen give lip service to this concept, yet they don't obey in their personal and business activities. Years ago, I was active in the life insurance business. I was calling on very prominent wholesale drug firm. The owner had his CPA involved in the presentation. I brought up the concept of loss opportunity, and the CPA said, "Oh no, our money does not have a cost." I found a way to terminate the interview as gracefully as possible soon afterward. There is no way that you can teach an established fact to a person with such a mindset. That's the way he feels. Feelings are facts to those who have them. Larry Wilson, Wilson Learning Corporation. In addition, there is the case of a Stern Stewart consulting firm in New York. Back in September 1993, there was a cover story in Fortune magazine about Stern Stewart and their development of the concept of economic value added, EVA. The article cited some very prominent firms that were their clients. It seemed these small businessmen in these internationally known firms had somehow forgotten, or maybe they never knew, the concept of loss opportunity cost. And so they were paying Stern Stewart handsome consulting fees to teach them this fundamental fact. Amazing. It is all about how one thinks. When their clients started practicing their teachings, the value of the stocks of the companies took off like a rocket because investors now saw that this is a company whose values are going to get better every day. By the way, that is exactly how all my dividend paying whole life insurance policies work. The cash value goes the cash value The cash values got bigger yesterday, they got bigger today, and I know they will get bigger tomorrow. Why, there is even one financial guru out there who thinks he invented the idea of loss opportunity cost. Maybe he never heard of an Irishman named Richard Cantillon who lived from 1680 to 1734, who was probably the first to isolate the fact. And there was also the essay by Frederick Bastiat in 1850, What is Seen and What is Not Seen. So the concept has been around for quite some time. When you take out a loan at a bank, it is an asset of the bank and is producing income in the form of interest on the loan. When you make a deposit to your bank account, that is a liability of the bank. They owe you that amount. Hence, if you own your warehouse of wealth, you want to make loans from your warehouse and pay it interest. The higher the interest you pay your system, the more profitable it becomes. When you do so, your system is earning interest that would be going to some other financial institution. 40 years ago, a senior vice president of First National Bank of Birmingham told me if the depositors of a bank could read the financial statement of the bank and understand what it really means, they will never put their money there. Such is the world in which we live. 40 years ago, a senior vice president of First National Bank of Birmingham told me, if sorry, I was repeating that. So let's go back to figure one. As a result of what you have seen so far, there is an ever increasing pool of cash coming into the life insurance company. Everyone, every once in a while, it doesn't have to, it doesn't happen all that often. Some policy owner dies. When this happens, the company must pay the beneficiary from its pools of money. Actuaries are the engineers in the concept of life insurance. They are dealing with a pool of 10 million selected lives, people who have been through a screening process. When a person applies for life insurance, he must pass a physical exam of some kind to prevent what is known as adverse selection against the company. And they are dealing with a theoretical lifespan of 121 years. Not long ago it was 100 years, but thanks to increasing lifespans, this projection has been recently increased. Looking at the next item in the diagram, the company must pay the cost of operating the company. This comes out of the pool of cash also. Once a year, the directors of the company meet to determine the dividend scale for the coming year that will be equitably distributed to the policy owners. As you will learn in the following section, those dividends can become enormous over a long period of time. Classification. While I was in forestry school in the early 50s, we had lots of courses that involved classification. Dendrology, dendrology, the study, the study of classification of trees, lasted all year long. Take a number of such courses, and maybe it'll be dawn on you that it is important to classify things on the basis of their major characteristics, not incidental ones. For instance, have you ever cut an apple in half, cut it through the equator, not the poles, and open it up? You will find a five-pointed star pattern in the arrangement of the seeds. That's because the apple is in the rose family. Every plant in the rose family has five petals, five pistils, and five stamens in the flower of the plant, or multiple thereof. That's what made it a rose. It is one of the largest families in the plant world. Every plant in that family has that characteristic. The flowering and the seeds of the plant are the reproductive systems. That is a good place to begin classification of the plant family, a major characteristic. With this in mind, look at the activities that are going on in a dividend paying whole life insurance policy. Isn't it obvious that the insurance company must put lots of money to work in various places in order to be able to pay the death benefit? Regardless of when the insured dies, isn't it also obvious that the policy owner outranks everyone in access to the pool of money, his equity in the policy that must be lent? Isn't it obvious too that your need for financing the things of life is greater during your lifetime than your need for death benefit? This is not true with term life insurance because most such policies never pay a death benefit This is not true with term life insurance because most such policies never pay a death benefit because the insurer only keeps the policy for a limited time frame. Therefore, the insurance company doesn't have to collect much premium in order to pay the death benefit for those who do happen to die during the limited time frame. So, if I had been given the job of naming the product that life insurance companies came up with, whole life insurance, I would have called it a personal warehouse of wealth system with a death benefit as a bonus. That's a rather long name. So we would have had to come up with an acronym of some kind, but it would have been far more accurate, and we wouldn't have all the confusion that exists today. So that's the end of chapter one. As you was able to see, we spent some time reading part two. So that's why I decided to split it in two. So I hope you got some benefit from these two readings of the chapter one. Get back to the video of part one of chapter one and then read again part two of chapter one, and you will be able to get a good benefit out of it. So thank you for taking a look at this video. And if you have any question, put it under the video that you watch. You could have watched this video in Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter, and even the Daily Motion, or in Facebook, in my page for um, my page for the several several benefits that I promote on Facebook. Um, I'm going to be putting more proper videos on this page of the several benefits that I promote. But it wouldn't hurt you to learn about it in there. So thank you. You can also contact me at jorgeeherrera.com, and I will answer your questions, and I will be able to build your policy because I learned from the best. I learned from Nelson Nash and from the people that follow him. So I understand how to structure these policies properly. And we use whole life insurance contracts. We don't use dividend paying. I, I, I apologize. We don't use index universal life because there are some issues with it. We use dividend paying whole life insurance contract. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.